It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way that things will really go with Sandra. Some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but soon they will realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend with Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. Every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
All right. Good morning. How is everyone doing? Happy Friday. Middle of the month. Wow. January is kind of going by quickly. Don't forget, folks, you're looking for us. Our links are the same every single morning now. You're able to just refresh the previous links, and that should work. So we got lots to get into this morning. We're going to be talking about quite a bit of information, and we're going to be focused, as you can see from today's headline, on the DPP's office, because let's just say that we need to figure out what they have going on over there. That the director of the DPP's office would actually issue a speech, which we're going to listen to here this morning, that demonstrates how incredibly, clueless is the best layman's term, but he seems to be very, very disconnected from the truth. And so we need to ask some questions about how that is even possible. So we're going to try to dissect his speech and from the Grand Court opening and see if we can go through that today. So hope you guys had a wonderful evening. And let me just, as a reminder, I'm going to just refresh and resend those links to everyone, because I think some of you are still kind of getting used to the fact that it's the same link. So basically, if you save it every morning, a few minutes in, all you have to do is refresh it, and we are good to go. Okay, so let me just see here. Yes, let me just put it out in the usual groups, and then So the idea is soon I'm going to stop sending it out in the groups. I hope that you guys would simply remember that all you have to do is click on the same links and they will refresh with the most updated information. All right. Everybody else is good. Any child? All right. So we're gonna get to his speech here in a second. I'm actually just downloading the relevant parts of the grand court opening that I need to focus on. And yeah, we're going to talk about what a stellar job they are doing. All right. We have someone's purse. So if anybody knows Jessica Soares, and it's Soares, Jessica, your purse, your handbag has been found. So Jessica just WhatsApp us. And yeah, we're going to try to reunite Jessica with her wallet. So if anybody knows Jessica, by all means, have her reach out. Just WhatsApp us. Just send a message, and we'll see about getting you your wallet. Apparently it's a whole handbag. Honey child, you lost the whole kit and caboodle. Oh, let me move over a bit. So I've got my feet soaking in water this morning. Another rough night with the foot situation. Oh, I'll tell you what happened is I surprisingly, but probably not so surprisingly, had a not so brilliant idea last night. I think I've told you guys a little bit about my foot problems already. So the podiatrist has said to me for years now, don't walk barefoot. Never, never. He's like, you got to just wear shoes all the time. So I have shoes at home that are indoor shoes. I only ever wear them at home. And I had a brilliant idea since I've had a little bit of pain this week. I thought, you know what? Maybe I need to toughen up my foot a little bit. This is what my brain was thinking. This is where the brain goes off tracks. Thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to toughen up my feet a little bit. And so I decided to, when I got home yesterday, which is just a couple hours before bedtime when you think about it, I did a recording with Wendy Ledger for our show. And then I decided to, not put on my house slippers and just walk around. And at first I thought, oh, it kind of feels good to have a hard surface under your feet. Like you're kind of giving the foot a workout. Well, went to bed. It usually happens a lot of times when I'm sleeping. I'm trying to get to bed, I should say. And it's like just as the muscles and the body start to relax, that is when in that phase of relaxation that the pain just comes on full force. And so I had a nice shower. I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling good. Took my nighttime meds, got in bed, lie down. I was so tired. Hubby was already snoozing. So I was like, oh man, I'm just going to go straight knockout. I've been doing my magnesium at night, which I find helps me sleep better. And yeah, I was like ready for a good night's sleep. Well, about, I don't know, was it 2:00 in the morning? I don't even know if it was that much time that had gone. But a couple hours into it, I wake up and it started slowly. So this one wasn't like jagged. It kind of started slowly. And I thought, let me see. Because sometimes it doesn't get any worse and I can kind of just, go back to sleep and kind of just work with it. Oh boy. Well, let's just say that did not work. I tried and then it was getting really bad. Sorry. And I had to jump up and get my TENS machine, put that on. I had to turn the TENS machine all the way up, and even all the way up, it still felt like it wasn't enough. from the TENS machine. So basically the TENS machine is like an electric shock, and it does not feel good, I'll be honest with you, but it feels better than the pain that you're in. And so what I ended up doing was, like I said, I put it to the highest setting possible. And then I've noticed that with this particular TENS machine, I don't know if all TENS machines are like this, but this one I have noticed that it has a little kind of quirky thing where if I put because it's, I think what happens is the feet are a tougher area, right? So it's not like the rest of your skin that's a bit more supple. So for you to really feel it on the feet, you kind of have to turn it up a bit. And then it actually makes other areas of my leg contract as well. So what typically happens is I have to contend with, like, sometimes it's the knee, sometimes it's the calf muscle contracting from the TENS machine. And obviously the higher up I turn it, the more that happens. Anyway, I had to crank it up because that's the only way that I could have gotten any sleep last night. And I did that. And yeah, it was rough. The TENS machine has a timer on it. So I did an hour and then it buzzes to turn off. I have to turn it off. And it's like I'm on manual mode. I'm kind of sleeping, but not really. So I turn it off and then I turn it back on again for another hour. And then sometimes the pads start to come off a little bit. So you have to adjust those. But what I've found, if I take the feet and I kind of press them together a little bit where the pads are, the intensity of the TENS machine is stronger because it's like the electrodes are getting more contact when I do that. So sometimes I have to do that. And that's, again, not comfortable. But listen, the pain is far worse. So, yeah. So that was my night. I'm still so grateful that it's, because, oh God, I can imagine some of you might have it worse. I don't know. Oh, I'm glad it's not any worse. So this morning I am soaking my feet as we sit here now, talking with each other. I am soaking my feet in some Epsom salt. And I took the advice of that lady. I've actually added some apple cider vinegar. I don't know if it's going to help. I figure apple cider vinegar isn't going to kill me. So Epsom salt and apple cider vinegar this morning. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So that was my miserable night. Man, I really feel horrible for people who suffer from these. They're like invisible diseases. Even MS, a lot of people are like, they have MS. I'm like, you do, but you look so good. Yeah. Listen, don't, these things are not nice. Fibromyalgia is another one, I think. I kind of feel like when I hear people describe fibromyalgia, that's kind of like what my foot pain sounds like, except for me, this is only in my feet. Whereas for someone with fibromyalgia, I think that's like body wide, like you can get that kind of pain, needling, discomfort, like anywhere in the body, which I could not imagine. Yeah, I see a government who's backstage. I keep seeing someone backstage, but I don't know who it is. I just kicked them out. I don't recall anybody booking today. Did I miss a memo about today? There was one person who was supposed to book, but then he said he wasn't coming until like the 23rd or something. So can whoever that is, sorry, I just kicked you back out because I'm thinking, I actually thought it was someone yesterday, maybe from that one who forgot to release the DVDL's link. But now that I saw it again, I'm thinking to myself, do we have a mix up in scheduling? What you should probably do is message in the chat. I don't know who that is. It just says Cayman Islands government. I wasn't expecting anyone today. So you got to let me know who you are so that we can figure out why you're backstage. Sometimes saying more than just Cayman Islands government as your name might be helpful. So just go to the little tab that says, where is it? People. private chat. And then let me try talking to them. I don't know who you are. WhatsApp me something, because I'm not expecting anyone this morning. I had a guess, but then, he actually said that he needed some more time to get some tables and facts and figures ready for us. Department of Comms. Nope. No, he's not coming on. Poor them. They didn't even know. No worries. Not a problem. I know how this scheduling stuff goes. He's rescheduled, I think, to the 23rd. Let me tell you. Hold on. Okay. So he will be here the 23rd. I know it's a lot. Somebody didn't communicate that to them. So sorry, guys. All right. So morning, Miss Stephanie. Morning, Wee Wee, Damaris. Leroy is here. Good morning, Leroy. So proud of you, Leroy, being compliant with your e-bike. Listen, if Leroy can do it, anybody can do it. That's right. Leroy not making no bag of money and, whatever. Doesn't take a PhD. Leroy did a great job. Morning, Abby. I think Miss Marva was going to reach out to you, Leroy, to get you your gift certificate. Morning, Miss Lucille. We got Barbara, Marshall, Strong Wilt. Morning, Robert. Yeah, the weather is dreary. When I hear people talk about the UK weather, this is what it's like. Kind of dreary, but not fully raining, but I think that's in the forecast. Barbara says you should have put on socks. You mean when I'm walking around the house or when I'm sleeping? I do have some compression socks, but I don't like to feel anything like on my foot when I'm sleeping. So I struggle to put those on. They're like your toes are out, but the rest of the foot is getting some compression. But maybe I'll start trying to use those again. But yeah, I don't really like the feeling of having anything on my feet, especially at night. But yeah, I can't even, even at the beach. I mean, the beach is not quite the same surface, and it's not like I'm walking around for a long time necessarily in the sand. But trust me, the foot doctor said, do not walk barefoot. He said that will make your situation even worse. Miss Corrine says, I feel you. I'm the same with the pain at night. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Miss Barbara says, if you have tile floors, you always have the same problem. I had to get wooden floors, which has made life a lot easier. I think any hard surface, because wood is still hard. Wooden floors is still hard. So I have to get the, I have to do the shoes that are kind of like orthopedic. They have a little bit more support, take pressure off of the metatarsal area, because that is normally where I feel the most of the pain. Last night, it was a little bit wider than that, but the metatarsal, which is, it's like the ball of the foot, basically. That's where, because a lot of pressure goes there. Good morning, Miss Daisy, joining us from the UK here in Kent. She says, what's the weather like there? Miss Yulene, thank you so much. Morning, morning, morning. Get a foot massage. Yeah, well, I have foot massagers. And I didn't use it last night, but I will probably at some point today stick my foot in there and use it. Because yeah, honey child, I just feel like, I'm turning up the temperature in this foot bath thing now. So yeah, I definitely, anything that I think helps, I try to do. Morning, Lavana. All right. So let's get into a few things before we start to focus on the DPP's office, because that's a hot mess and then some. And I have, did I just download yeah, I downloaded it's 20 minutes. So we're going to get into that fairly quickly. But let me just say, yesterday we got word that Carrie Whitaker has been summoned to come to court for a Section 90 offense, which I'm all too familiar with. And she must have said something. I'm assuming it's about, and I can't be sure because I think Carrie says a lot about a lot of people. But I think that it is about Jinky, the school teacher who has now been reinstated. So it is interesting that yesterday she got her summons, and then we also got a statement from the Education Ministry of Education that the young lady in question with this whole I don't even know what to call this, sexting probe, not sexting, that's not sexting, porn hub style-ish probe, whatever that's supposed to be, that she's now been cleared to return to work after their investigations. Okay. I mean, I want to actually see the report. I can't make a whole lot of comments. And like I said, I knew Jinky even before she was a teacher. Nice enough person. But somebody said I must check for gout. It is funny because I do have, my dad had gout. And so I do feel like I have the markers for it, but it's not testing positive. But this is something I've always had from when I was a kid even. So, but yeah, I have tested for gout, and I do have higher, what is that? What is the gout? It's the uric level. So I do try to watch that a little bit, and they're constantly testing for it as well. All right. So listen, Jinky was suspended back in September. I think it was it September? Yeah, September 2025, for an investigation into her into her allegations that she was sending around pictures and that potentially children were somehow getting access to these pictures. I think Carrie did make an allegation that, and others were saying the same thing, that the children were, because a parent came forward and said, her son was told that he could purchase these pictures. I don't know where he got that from and who told him, and, but what I would say is, low key, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I feel like if this was a Caymanian, and I hate to say this under this current minister and current chief officer, but I don't think a Caymanian would have this kind of luck. Call it luck, call it whatever you want. If this was a Caymanian, listen, you've had people terminated, although they were private companies, from being around children because they did a social media video cursing somebody out. And they were like, that's unbecoming of someone around children. Having photos and a catalog of photos. This is why I really need to see the details of this investigation. I want to see it with my own two eyes. Because having, you take photos, right? Now, there was a line of thought that maybe this was an angry ex. She is going through or was going through a messy divorce with the ex-husband. We spoke to the ex-husband. He's like, he ain't got nothing to do with that. He's moved on with his life. He's already got a new baby mama. He not business with Jinky. And that he was not aware of the pictures until he sort of saw the story go up about the situation. And the allegation was that she was moonlighting an OnlyFans style account somewhere online as well, right? And that's where some of these pictures were. So I want to see what this investigation looked at and exactly what the details of the investigation, like I need to see the details is what I'm telling you. So I'm going to request the report before I say too much more. of the investigative report, because I kind of feel like even if part of this story was true. So in other words, let's take out the bit about the kids, and she had nothing, she wasn't sharing with the kids. There's no evidence that she, the kids had access to it through her. If she even had these up on a website, let me even go a step further. If she was even circulating these amongst the community there in Cayman Brac, in other words, sending these out to men in such a small community, you acquire a particular reputation really, really quickly. I do not believe that she should be around children. Put her somewhere else. I don't know where you're going to put her. But there's a big morality question, and it seems like, remember when there was a time that teachers couldn't even get pregnant and be teachers? They removed you out of the classroom. Maybe we need to bring a little bit of a moral compass back around our children. There's something deeper at play when people will do certain things and think that that's okay. Setting up these accounts where you put your stuff out there. Now, listen, if you're an adult, you have a right to do that. But you got to pick and choose. You're either going to be porn queen extraordinaire and OnlyFans, or you're going to be an assistant teacher or teacher in our government schools. You can't have it both ways. To the credit of private sector, when this exact same thing happened, basically in private sector, where the teacher had up her pictures, right, on websites, CIS fired her. You guys remember that story a couple years back? Once they became aware of it, they terminated her, because there is something to be said for a teacher who engages in this kind of behavior, knowing that she is a teacher. And like I said, putting it on any kind of website where you think you're hiding your identity, because they hide under these, accounts, and it would be hard to find it unless you really know, like, to tie it to her. But I saw the videos with my own two eyes. I saw the photos with my own two eyes. And this wasn't just a little lingerie modeling, okay? So let's give her the widest benefit of the doubt possible and say that, Sandy, these are private pictures that she sent to her multiple boyfriends, or 5 boyfriends. I don't know how many she got. So let's say 5 boyfriends, and then revenge porn, they tried to send it around, whatever. Right. Don't y'all know better than this already? Y'all are big people, big adults. Just last week, I received photos of a young lady, pictures, videos, same sort of sexting, ridiculous behavior. And evidently, she has an OnlyFans account. She's putting it out there, making that boyfriend or ex-boyfriend jealous because she's fooling with other men. Talking about she's a baddie. Y'all need to redefine what being a baddie actually means. Because Houston, that ain't it. Right? Having your parts all over for the world to see. Performing in acts, disgustingly so, if I might add. That's not being a baddie. That's being disgusting. Get it together. So I don't know. I'm feeling, like I said, a lot of people like Jinky. She's a nice person and all that stuff. She's working around YMCA kids, whatever. But this doesn't pass the sniff test for me. It really, really doesn't. Because even programs like YMCA, right? There's some people who are by nature, for different reasons, over sexualized. So they get turned on by, like their kinkometer is a little bit higher than what others are. Okay. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying I'm prudish extraordinaire over here, but some of the stuff that I see y'all doing, yeah, you're adults and you're free to do it. But I do sit here with the side eye going, Lord Jesus, help them, please, and thank you. Please and thank you, Lord. You got a mission over here. Step in. And I think some of it can be attributed to the fact that some people are just over sexualized because of, culture, how they were brought up, the family home that they were in. One of the markers, and you guys should be aware of this, of teenagers who are over sexualized is abuse, child sexual abuse. So if you see a 12, 13-year-old who's developing sexually and who's also acting out sexually and who is quote unquote promiscuous, because some of you are like, oh, these little kids, they want to be sexed up, everything, whatever. There's a reason why that child is like that. And you need to look very carefully at why. Because in 99.9999999% of the cases, we're going to round it up to 100%, that child was exposed at a very young age to either inappropriate touch, straight out sexual abuse, which inappropriate touch is, let me be very, very clear, material. So sometimes, someone might be making them watch pornographic material, showing that material to them. And that is why it's like they don't know how to express that. And so what they do is they act it out and they become over sexualized. So I think that a lot of times that is carried on into adulthood. And, you guys continue to be over sexualized in adulthood. Other times there is a bit of people are doing it to curry favor, especially women. They're doing it to curry favor with men. There's some competition out here in the streets. Whoever can be the kinkiest gets the men and gets the life that comes with, I guess, having men when you're not self-supportive. I mean, I don't know anything about that life, but okay. When you can't pay your own bills or you want more, you have to attract men who will buy you things, buy you handbags and a lifestyle and travel. And some of y'all is just a plate of food because food's so expensive now. That $20 plate of stew conch and a brack, you're like, honey, child, I need about 2 pappies to pay for that. So I can't show you the pictures. Ms. Barbara says, show the pictures. I can't because that's how bad they are. I could never show you those pictures. Let me put it this way. Even Facebook, who don't normally care about certain things, would block you if you posted or you shared those. That's how bad they are. I've seen them with my own two, my 4, when I put my glasses on, my 4 beady eyes. Someone in the broadcast, they said to me, Sandy, if that was a Caymanian. Anyway, so Carrie Whitaker, I don't know which last name she's going by, but I guess Whitaker, because that's what they have on the papers. They have actually charged Carrie now with an offense. And like I said, yes, KK pictures. Yeah. Like I said, I can't say anything in terms of details. We're going to wait for this case to develop to get the details. But I did notice that once again, when they did the particulars of the offense, we can get to the DPP's office here in a second. They don't even know how to properly particularize the offense. They're doing it wrong. There's something wrong in the DPP's office. Somebody, please, Jesus, that's where your attention needs to be focused. So Carrie has been charged with a Section 90 offense, which is, let me just tell you guys what that is. Hold on one second here. It is, I should know this by heart as many times as I've been charged under the same offense, but essentially it is, here we go. I'm going to show you guys the summons document here. So she's going to court. Is it next week? So give me one second. Let me just see if I can bring this up. So it's annoying, harassing, whatever. Very, very similar to what I'm being charged with, except this time, instead of the ICT legislation, for whatever reason, they decided to go under the penal code. There's no rhyme or reason, I'm going to be honest with you, to what some of the DPP's office is actually doing. It is very, very bizarre. So this offense, though, I'm going to tell Carrie, hold on one second, that's the wrong one. What I will tell Carrie is this is the very offense, section 90, use of an ICT network to annoy, harass, or threaten, contrary to section 90 of the Information and Communications Technology law. And so, yeah, what a mess. Anyway, Carrie will no doubt keep us posted. We can't fly to the BRAC to attend court there. So this is a summary court matter. Carrie, I'm going to suggest you read, you and your lawyer, you would be entitled, no doubt, to legal aid. They will invoke and read the case of Hill versus the Crown. That is now the Bible. As we say in law, that is your Bible, that anybody who comes and talks to you about anything related to freedom of speech, you just pull that case out, honey child. It's not a very long case, but the judges said they were laying down the law as it relates to freedom of speech in this country. Now, that does not mean, I do want to be clear, because the judges are very clear, that doesn't mean that you can say everything or nothing would ever amount to, I think they have the wrong section, the wrong law here. This is a penal code offense. But the judge said, the judge's unanimous decision, and in it they said, it's possible to be convicted, but it's a very high bar. And there's like 4 things that you need to overcome in order to meet the criteria. I honestly don't think that they're going to win that case even against Carrie. So Carrie, get yourself a good lawyer. Tell them to read Sandy's case if they haven't heard of it, because according to Mr. Balika, some of the judges are still claiming that they're not even familiar with that case. What a hot mess they're in. Hot mess express. All right, I'll keep you guys posted on whether or not I can get a copy of the report on this. And if I can, we'll dissect it a little bit further. Until then, that is all I can say. All right, let's delve into the situation with the DPP's office. By the way, CUC has opened applications for its $40,000 scholarship and internship. They do this every single year. So please apply for it if you meet the eligibility criteria. It's CUC does a lot of amazing work giving back to the community all the time. And this is but one of the ways that they do so. Oh, someone is saying, what are the 4 things to be met to meet the threshold? Okay, so Wendy and I actually did one of her shows on this, Court Matters. So the next episode of Court Matters, if you listen to that, basically she interviews me about the case and we go into it a little bit more. So I would invite you to actually watch that episode. The whole show is meant to demystify the legal system, if you will. Someone says, morning, if Carrie's being charged under section 90, shouldn't the teacher also be charged for similar? I mean, you'd have to have a complainant. So this is a valid question. Yes, there is an argument that could be made for that, but that means that there's someone who would actually have to go complain to the police to say that the publication of these, and that would be a very novel case as well, right? Because obviously people have OnlyFans account, but the thing about it is you have to go out of your way to subscribe to those accounts and to look people up. So it's not like she's just got it. Like if she's sending it to you, maybe that's an offense. And you see, this is where this Section 90 offense is tricky for the DPP's office, and why I say that they keep getting it wrong, is they miss the point that the intention of that offense is direct communication between individuals. It was never intended to catch bloggers, talk show hosts, people in a public domain at all. And the judges kind of said that, because they were like, Jinky and everybody else has a choice. What are you going watching Carrie's show for? If she's talking about you, you don't like it, don't watch it. And need I remind you that the proper offense to be charged here, if it is an offense, would be defamation, because in the Cayman Islands, defamation is still a criminal offense. So they could charge her with defamation, but I think the problem is they can't prove it, that it wasn't true. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know what Carrie actually said. But those pictures, the pictures is, the proof is in the pudding. Now, she could make an argument that that wasn't her body parts, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. What a hot mess. So, someone says, morning, Sandy, the parents of the brat school with this teacher should all write into government and demand her termination. I'm surprised if they haven't done that. And obviously the ministry still carried out their investigation. What did they say in this story? Hold on. They said she was cleared. So, I need to see that report. It says she was removed. The matter was referred to the multi-agency safeguarding hub for investigation in accordance with safeguarding protocols. So again, it really does depend. They say that the investigation found no evidence to support the allegations of misconduct. How are they defining misconduct? So if their very narrow remit is that the only thing that they were concerned about is whether or not children, right, had access to this, not whether or not she was doing it in a public platform or whatever, then I could see where they came to this conclusion that there was no wrongdoing if there was no evidence of that. So that's why they got the MASH unit involved to investigate. And children, and parents should have come forward if there was anything there to say, yes, Ms. Jinxie showed me those pictures and whatever. Because if there's no evidence to that, then she's cleared. So I don't think the investigation went as far as whether or not those are pictures of her and whether or not she has an OnlyFile. It wasn't OnlyFans, it was some other website, but whatever. Whether or not that was her on the website, whether or not she's sending those out in the community, and if she's soliciting, adult men and so on and so forth, or if it was just private communications between her and other people. So I guess the parents can demand termination all they want, but you have to have grounds for termination, and you can't just terminate someone just because the parents, my apologies, say that she should be terminated. In law, that would be some sort of wrongful dismissal. So, there's that. So this person says that the person Jinky needs to sue is her husband. He was the one who took those pictures. Some of them were no. I mean, I saw the pictures with my own two eyes. Like I said, some of those were self pictures. There was no other party involved in taking them. Now, whether he got his hands on them and distributed them or not, well, that's a matter between her and him. And I think that if she had a case there, then obviously she needs to pursue that. And it is also an offense if she thought she could prove that. It is also an offense for you to send around these types of pictures if you're doing so as part of a, what do we call it, revenge porn? I think we already have a revenge porn conviction on the books here in the Cayman Islands. So she could have complained about that. But, I wonder if she complained about that. I wonder if the police are investigating that, or her husband or anybody else is going to be charged with, because somehow these pictures got out in the public domain. Now, there are people who said some of them are actually on a website as well. I don't know. I haven't seen the website. You know what I'm saying? If they're on the website and she uploaded them, that's a whole other cup of tea. She can't blame people for grabbing them in that context. But if they were sent privately and then, you know, she's upset with him or he's upset with her, or whatever this is, and then they're sent out for revenge porn, that is actually against the law. That's a form of harassment. It's just too messy. You see, like, I can't imagine those kids, high schoolers. She's working at Lehman Scott High School. Maybe if these are kids in you know, elementary school, they wouldn't be looking at her too kind of hard. But those little boys and stuff, y'all know what those little boys sitting out there thinking in class. What a distraction. It's a distraction for the whole school. And it certainly doesn't give anybody in the BRAC, in terms of like at that school, a good feeling, I'm sure. So somebody says, where are the parents' outrage? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. They don't seem particularly outraged. I mean, a few of them, I think, contacted us at the time. But other than that, I don't see any outrage. So maybe it's one of those situations where she's a nice person and that trumps anything else, you know? I don't know. All right. It's a hot mess. Let's move on. Yeah. Let me see here. Someone is sending me a message. Misrepresentation to the government. Ooh. What is this? HSA again? Oh. Uh-oh. Hot mess. All right. That's a lot of documentation I will have to go through later, honey chow. All right. That's not for today's show. That's for further research. Okay. So let's move on. The DPP's office. Wowee. We're going to watch the video. So get your cup of coffee, your second cup if you've had one already. And we need to kind of dissect what is going on at the DPP's office. So there was the grand court opening this week on, what is today, Friday? It was on Wednesday. And this is something that happens every year in January. And it's like a ceremonial thing, but it goes way beyond being ceremonial. So Wendy and I we've recorded an episode on the grand court opening as well. So I think you guys will find it interesting to kind of understand what it is. But it's an opportunity for all of the arms to come together. So we have the legislative arm, obviously the judiciary hosts it. We have the legislative arm that's there. All the MPs are invited, ministers and so on. We have the judicial arm of government, and then the executive. Normally you will have, does the governor normally show up? I'm trying to think. I think so. I've been to like one or two. I can't remember if the governor's over there, but I kind of feel like they are. But this is the opportunity for the courts and everything associated to that to kind of share their updates, what's happening, what strides they've made. The Chief Justice has, and this was over 4 hours. I do think she has to do something a little bit different strategically, but Normally other people go before her in terms of speaking. So like the attorney general goes, the head of the local legal associations, he'll speak, the DPP will speak, and then she kind of is like the last person to give the keynote speak, if you will. By then, 4 hours in, probably 3.5 hours in, most people have left, because I heard that by the time she got around to giving her speech, most MPs were gone because they had other obligations. The day after, they were having public accounts committee. Some of them had to go and do prep stuff for that. So 4 hours is a huge chunk of time to request of anyone, quite frankly, to sit there for and to listen to all these speeches. So we'll dissect some of them. There's lots of growing pains, and Renee is working on stories. For example, one story that she's already done from what was said is the fact that the DPP is warning of a worrying upward trend of child sexual abuse cases. Duh. Who don't know that? If you attend class here on our show, you guys will know that we've been talking about this forever. Strong Will, thank you so much. She says, Strong Will says, hi, Sandy. What about the pictures that was, is that supposed to be circulating with that guy, sexual abuse, the helper? So I saw the messages yesterday. Yes, I received them numerous times. Let us wait to see what is going to come of this, because supposedly Strong Will, she has reported the matter to the police. So that means now that it's a criminal investigation. I hope it's a criminal investigation. And we will have to wait and see what comes out of that. I have the picture, and I hear what you guys are saying about this man has a history. I don't personally know him. So if you ever had an experience with him yourself, by all means, reach out to me, because I would like to hear those firsthand accounts from myself. Well, we'll come back to that, no doubt, strong-willed. All right, so pay attention, class. These are the comments. It's about 20 minutes long, so we'll pause it and talk about some elements of it as we go through this.
Justice, I shall stand on that protocol, which has already been established by the Honourable Attorney General. My Lady, I second the motion of the Honourable Attorney General for the opening of the Grand Court, and I am grateful to my Lady Chief Justice.
So let me just clarify who and what we're looking at. So this is Simon Davies. Simon Davies is the head of the Office of Public Prosecution, ODPP, and he was appointed as Director of Public Prosecution back in January of 2022, on the heels of the former head of the DPP, Simon, what was his name? Not Simon. Oh, Lord, what was his name again? Patrick Moran, having a number of complaints levied against him for, mismanagement. And he was appointed in 2019, didn't last very long. So by 2022, he was already out the door. And there were allegations of racism, nepotism, and everything else, Lord have mercy. So anyway, Simon got the job, and here we are. So that's who you're now listening to.
Justice, for the opportunity to address the court, and in particular to mention highlights of 2025, aspirations of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for 2026, projects and plans to be executed, and also to comment on any initiatives to streamline the relationship which the Office has with other stakeholders. Before I do so, may I echo the words of the Honourable Attorney General, and in particular, he has thanked a lot of people. I do not intend to thank them all again, so I echo what he's already said, and I will adopt his comments. As I move through 2025, it will also become readily apparent that some of the projects I mention are ongoing and will continue as aspirations and initiatives for 2026. So again, I do not intend to repeat them. I start my review of 2025 with our people, and they are at the heart of what we do in the office. And as with any organisation, there have been departures and arrivals. We thank those who have departed for their work and, in some cases, for their long-standing presence in the office over a number of years. The departures this year have enabled the office to build for the future. I am now privileged to have and to be able to work with an extremely strong leadership team. 2 new deputy directors, Nicole Petit, who has been with the office for 18 years, Barnaby Jameson, King's Counsel, a new assistant director, Poonam Chopra, and 2 senior Crown Counsel, Brian Treadwell and Martin Mulgrew. Barnaby Jameson, King's Counsel, is a globally recognised expert in terrorism and terrorist financing. He also has substantial experience of prosecuting drug offences as well as complex money laundering cases. His relationship with Grand Cayman accelerated after he prosecuted successfully 2 murder cases in this court in 2025. Poonam Chopra joins us after spending 3 years at the British Embassy in Washington, DC, as a UK Crown Prosecution Service liaison lawyer. She has substantial experience in international mutual legal assistance, extradition and counter-terrorism. Her expertise will be invaluable to the Cayman Islands as the jurisdiction moves up the gears in its 5th round of mutual evaluation for, and here comes the first acronym, FATF purposes. I know how your ladyship does not like acronyms.
Only when I don't know what they mean.
Financial Action Task
I know
Force.
that one.
Good one. It will repeat it again. As those new members join the existing leadership team, I now have the opportunity to drive forward a number of long overdue strategic aims of the office. In addition, we welcome Nicosia Lawson to the team. She joins the international and financial team. Nicosia is a Cayman Islands attorney with over 10 years PQE. Prior to joining us, she was a senior associate at an international offshore law firm, and amongst other things, her areas of focus have been civil fraud, asset recovery, with specific expertise in digital assets. I thank our finance team and librarian for their continued hard work over the last year, and in addition, we would be lost without our dedicated HR team. And as has already been mentioned by the Honourable Attorney General, we must also reflect on the untimely passing of our colleague Colleen Williams, who was our HR manager. She was a stalwart supporter of the office and will be sorely missed. Staying with our people, I move to projects undertaken in 2025. In previous speeches, the legal family was a concept. It's now a reality. The legal family has been launched as part of what I understand will be a wider government job family. This will assist the office in driving recruitment of Caymanian legal talent, development and nurturing the skill set of those lawyers entering the office, as well as promoting retention. At its heart, the concept involves a significant volume of training and development. And while training developments are important, I'm also mindful of the fact that merely training people will not solve long-term retention difficulties.
All right, let me pause there for a second, because I'm glad that he recognizes that training people will not solve long-term retention difficulties. Because as he continues to speak, the one thing that is going to become obvious to all of you, I hope, is that he is completely clueless as to why he is having and has had under his tenure the highest amount of people leave in since 2022, right? The last couple of years. And as a leader of an organization, when you are hemorrhaging staff, because that is the only real word that you could use to describe what is happening under his leadership, you have got to look at yourself. So it has nothing to do with training, as he rightfully said. We can say that again. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. His retention issues are because of his mismanagement of his own staff. He doesn't have a clue. Let's continue to listen.
Really, training people will not solve long-term retention
No
difficulties. Training people well enough so they can leave is one thing. Treating them well enough so they don't want to leave is another. Quote from Richard Branson.
Oh my God. All
The
right.
work-based learning scheme.
So, you know, he throws in this quote about training people versus treating people. Listen, with all due respect, I was just reminding myself that I had sent a query to the DPP's office about their staff turnover. They've not even acknowledged that FOI request as yet. So make them continue, because I will then file a complaint with the ombudsman's office against them, right? But if we had a list of the number of staff that they have lost, senior crown counsels, sometimes crown counsels, but very, very good people in terms of they do the job and they did it well. They have not stayed with the DPP's office. And there's a reason why they have not stayed with the DPP's office. So let's have a look. I'm going to show you a couple examples, more recent examples of people who have left the DPP's office, and it's all the Caribbean staff. Apparently, he doesn't have an issue with retaining, you know, the people that he brings in from the UK. Why is that? What is happening within your office that makes that even possible? That's because evidently there are two styles of management, and it is not equal. If you look like, let me show you a picture here now, this, and you happen to be, oops, my apologies. Pull this in. If you look like this, it's not letting me add it to the stage. Before presenting, remove other media. What? Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to screen grab it. I'm going to show y'all what she looks like, because we got to talk about this. Okay? How is it that you have the nerve, sir, with all due respect, to get up in a court of law? By the way, one of the few times that somebody said they don't even think, I think it was Wendy that was telling me, they don't even think that he's ever even given this speech before, because he always seems to find a reason and an excuse not to be there. One of the first times you ever see this man in a wig. Yep. Just not professional in terms of his representation at all. Give me 1 second. I'm just finding this photo that I've just downloaded. Where did it go? Okay. So have a look at this picture. What I'm telling you is, if you look like this, then unfortunately, you are not being given the benefit of being, quote unquote, retained by the department. Why is it that? Give me 1 second. Oh, my apologies. I see where my mistake is. I was selecting video instead of images. Here we go. Okay. So this. Her name is Candia James Malcolm. She was acting director in the job that he now has of public prosecutions for a 3-month period back in 2021. So this is after basically they got rid of Patrick. They had her acting. She's now gone. Mr. Greg, welcome. Let me see if I can find a picture of good old Greg there. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. He is likewise gone. We have Kelly Garcia. Or is it Garcia Kelly? I always mix up his name. He's gone. So let me be very, very clear. When you look at the numbers and you see who they're not able to retain at the DPP's office, you cannot help but wonder Let's say that you were completely blind, deaf, and dumb. At some point, it's going to occur to you that why is it only the Caymanian and the Caribbean staff that can't be retained at the DPP's office? Why are they the ones who are always going? What's the young man's name there? I'm picturing him. He used to work, I think, at one point at customs or immigration, kind of a buff young man. He's a lawyer now as well. He was there. He's gone. It's a really extensive list. There's another woman. There's some of the women that I can't even remember their names now. They have all left. So when this man is sitting here talking about why they can't retain staff, Gavin, thank you. What is Gavin's? Remind me of Gavin's last name again. Gavin who? Right? When you see that, yes, they are hemorrhaging staff, but it's only a particular type of staff, ask yourselves the question, why? Why is that? This man is clueless. Gavin Dixon, thank you so much. And I have to wonder if he is clueless because, is it a willful ignorance? Because it seems to me that it would have to be. Gavin has really worked his way up from, I remember when he was struggling going to law school, got a family to feed, trying to work, trying to go to law school. He was at the DPP's office and he's gone too. Like I said, the list, and I've asked them to provide me with the list because I wanted all of the names, but they look like they are actually ignoring my FOI query because they've not even acknowledged it. But they're not going to ignore it, because I'm going to file a complaint with the ombudsman's office. You are wondering, you seriously have the nerve to wonder why you can't retain staff? Just the other day, I was made reliably informed that you have these so-called new DPPs, these new Crown Councils arriving conveniently from the UK, who are so clueless. There's a lawyer who's like, Your Honor, I've requested the file on this date, on this date, on this date, on this date. I'm emailing the DPP's office and I don't even get the courtesy of a response. So when they show up to court with no file, it's no wonder. And what I can tell you, you're talking about training people. If that was a Caymanian performing at that level, not even showing up. So this query I did was, what's the date on this query? Let me see if they've passed their 30 days yet, because I will surely be making a complaint. Oh yeah, they're coming up now. That was December the 19th. Giving them 3 more days. I've asked them about staffing issues. How many people have resigned versus contracts not being renewed? It's not a matter of them not renewing contracts, is that the staff have had enough. They have had enough of the inequity that is happening in that office. And there's no oversight, because the only people that I guess the DPP legally answers to is the governor's office and that council that hires them. And God knows they don't seem to be paying attention to anything that's happening in this country. We need to look at the minutia of these types of things in the judiciary, because listen, Chief Justice Ramsey doing an amazing job, some growing pains, no doubt, right? I could talk about that old system that they allowed to lapse without putting a new system in place with adequate advance notice so that they could, she's sitting there apologizing why she doesn't have statistical data that's really accurate. Because the old system is no longer usable, no longer functional. How did that even happen? Who allowed that to happen under her watch? Is that IT? That person should be terminated, because that's a really big, that's like the whole case management system for the entire courts. But I'm going to give her a little bit of a pass. But what I cannot sit back and give a pass to is the fact that you have individuals like Mr. Simon here who have lost so many staff members, and no one is sitting down going, wait a minute, he can't keep no Caymanian staff? Stacey Ann Kelly, right? She was there when this guy Simon started. Now she's left. And the funny thing is, the majority of these people are leaving and going into defense work, which is so ironic because they're going to go up against the office that they used to work for. Now, don't you think that that means that they know the ins and outs of defense work? Because they were on the other side, they were in the prosecution. So they're going to be losing even more cases. The ineptitude that is now being displayed by these newcomers is really, really unbelievable. Barbara says maybe we need to have Wendy request that list. My dear, I wonder if Wendy can remember more of them than I can. It's a long list. And like I said, just about every single one of them, Caribbean people, Caymanians. It's not normal. So he can talk about all he wants. Oh, you know, it's one thing to, let me pull back up. Let me pull this back up. I got to fast forward here. So he can talk about retention all he wants, but I can tell you, sir, the problem with retention is you. You need a coming to Jesus moment. You are the single reason, your management style, how you can promote people in your office. Let me give you an example now of how you can promote people in your office who've come since other people have less PQE, that's post-qualification experience, right? Just because they are of a particular skin color and from the UK, so they sound good. Let me tell you something. We gotta fix this. Let's continue listening. I had to reload it, so let me just find the point where he was. Oh no, Nicole Petit not going nowhere. We coming to her. Try and hush about her.
What I understand will be a wider government job family. This will assist the office in driving recruitment of Caymanian legal talent.
Your issue not recruiting talent. Your issue is at the management level. What talent wants to come into an office that is so septic? Is that the word I'm looking for? It's like a cesspool. Everybody in the legal fraternity knows it. I'm surprised that what's the young man sitting next to him again? Oh Lord, what a little young man there, head of the legal society. Oh God, help me with his name. Sitting right next to him, Ricky. What's his name again? I'm surprised that he can sit there with a straight face, because my God, it must have taken a hot minute for him to be like, what is this guy saying? You know, he's just like, he's telling himself, let me get his name. Oh God, I can't remember his name right now. He's sitting there telling himself, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. Whatever you do. Richard Barton, thank you so much. Richie's like, oh God, don't laugh. Don't burst out laughing. Because everybody knows that this is a joke. Anybody who's in the know, not Colin. Colin is that's financial services. Richard Barton. Anthony says Mr. Extra Richard. That's okay. He might be extra, but he knows what's going on in the DPP's office. No, sir. It's a joke.
And nurturing the skill set of those lawyers entering the office, as well as promoting retention. At its heart, the concept involves a significant volume of training and development. And while training developments are important, I'm also mindful of the fact that merely training people will not solve long-term retention difficulties.
Yeah.
Training people well enough so they can leave is one thing. Treating them well enough so they don't want to leave is another. Quote from Richard Branson. The work-based learning scheme was all.
Okay. You kind of threw the quote in there. And the irony of it is clearly you do not know yourself, right? That you need to reflect on that quote and you need to dissect it, because that quote applies to you. It's almost like a Freudian slip why he would select that quote and put that in there. Or in the alternative, he believes that we are so stupid as members of the public and of the media that we do not know what is actually going on in that department. Seriously. It is shocking. Yeah? How you treat people matters. I'm going to see if Wendy can help me out here with the list because it's so extensive. I can't even remember all of them. That is why you cannot keep the at least the local and Caribbean staff. The others get a different type of treatment and pay, remuneration, how you talk to them, what cases they get, the whole shebang. So imagine now you go to court, and we're going to talk about this contextually, and you no longer even see Caribbean people in the DPP's office, not for nothing. But the vast majority of people who are being prosecuted are Caribbean people. Yes, Caymanians and Jamaicans, y'all taking up the court system. And you see no representation on the DPP side now, on the prosecution side, because he can't retain any of those individuals. And there's certain nuances that become important, right? When it comes to dealing with these cases, cultural nuances. These people can't relate. They just got off the plane. They just got off of British Airways. They don't understand contextually some of the things that are relevant to the cases that they then have to try to get a successful prosecution about. For example, I'm going to give you one example. When you have a child molestation case, for example, and the defense tries to run this line of, the child was, and this actually happened in court. The child was trying to go and have a sleepover with other girls, and I didn't want her to become a lesbian. If you're from the UK, you mightn't quite get, in the context of being a Caribbean person, what the guy with a very thick Jamaican accent is really trying to say, because he didn't quite say it quite as straightforward as that. Like, he don't want her sleeping out with these girls because, next thing you know, she'll change. You don't understand that. So you can't come back with a sufficient rebuttal question to contextualize that and to make the jurors, who are largely Caribbean people of his peers, of the defendant's peers, right? Get that, hold on a second. We understand the nuances that a lot of Caribbean people feel about, I don't want my child to become a lesbian or gay, whatever. And that's why he was trying to molest her. That's why he was having sex with his own daughter. You gotta hone in on that and make sure that you address it. Because if you gloss it over, as in this case, you lose the case. Those Caribbean people sat there. Huh? And they allowed that to slip because they have a lack of understanding. Let me be clear. It is no coincidence that you could have this young lady here, Candia, be there for some 16 years. Follow me now. 16 years of service. Made it all the way to the top in terms of acting in his shoes before he was hired for the job. Yeah? She leaves after 16 years, and by all accounts, he was completely unappreciative, did not even have the courtesy to thank her properly after 16 years of service. This man talks about
also
retention.
mentioned last year.
He talks about retention of staff, but he is clueless. He doesn't have a clue. He's the problem, and he does not even know. So just a point of correction. Someone said she acted as DPP for almost 2 years. Yes, but she was actually the initial, I was just having a look at the article. The initial article in May essentially said that she was being appointed on a 3-month, an initial period of 3 months. And that was May the 19th. And that was according to Her Excellency, the governor. So obviously she went on and acted far above and beyond the 3 months, closer to 17 to 18 months. Again, speaks volumes to her qualifications for the job. Yeah. I've never heard so many complaints. We thought that Patrick Moran was the worst. And maybe he was the worst in some regards, because he wasn't really sweet talking anybody. You guys will remember my reporting on him, where he was showing up in court, cussing and going on right up in the court. He was easier to read because he was more direct. Nobody liked him, to be fair. He was prejudicial, to be fair. But he was much more straightforward. You kind of saw what you were getting. This guy, oh God, the staff had high hopes. I remember when he came, a lot of the local staff were like, oh, Sandy, he's going to send us on training. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. We're finally going to have what we've been looking for in the head of the DPP. Poor them. Didn't take long to figure out that wasn't it, TD. That wasn't it, Bobo. Not at all. He was going to be more, what's the right word that I'm looking for? Demure. But still doing the same thing, or maybe even worse. The morale in that office is pitiful at best. It's disgusting. Let's continue to listen to what he's saying.
That is now off the drawing board and is also a reality. It's well developed. 2 members of the office have been through the scheme. At its heart, the scheme promotes and develops the advocacy and forensic skills of newly qualified lawyers. This was an aspect of new qualification which I noticed was lacking. Other legally qualified employees, in addition to newly qualified advocates, have been introduced to the scheme for top-ups and refreshers. All of this points in one direction: succession planning and organic growth of the office.
Oh, God. Are you serious? It points in one direction, all right. Leadership failure.
Raising the leadership bar and raising the bar generally is intended to expose young and newly qualified Caymanian talent to substantial experience, thereby nurturing development and retention. Staying with the office team, I thank the whole team for their dedication and hard work during 2025. They've all experienced substantial disruption in the office, and to their immense credit, have addressed daily problems with a smile and, I believe, have become more resilient.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know what you believe in and where you're getting it from, but let's break it down a little bit further here, folks. This is a man who does not show up to court. I think I've told you guys this before. For whatever reason, he appears to be afraid. I've never quite seen a lawyer that is afraid of coming to court, but he is, and he's head of the DPP, right? And of the ODPP. So I find it peculiar and strange that this is one of the first times that people can recall having him fully robed up and, addressing the court, because once again, he doesn't, the best way to explain it, Wendy Ledger said it right when we were doing our recording last night. She said, Sandy, by comparison, sometimes you explain things by comparing it to something else, right? Cheryl Richards, when Cheryl Richards was the head of the prosecutor's office. I think it had a slightly different name then. She always showed up to court. She handled her cases. Yes, there's sometimes that they will have to bring in a KC, but in this instance, this office is bringing in at an exorbitant cost to the people of the Cayman Islands more KCs than ever to try cases, because apparently, despite the fact that they still can't keep no staff and he's bringing in everybody from the UK that he wishes to bring in, they seem incapable of having the expertise here on the ground. And the worst part of this, quite frankly, is that he is not capable of winning any cases himself. And there have been some epic failures under his watch. There have been times when the court was like, who authorized you to run? Oh, yes, there was the other young lady from Trinidad that left as well. Can't remember her name. If she lasted 6 months, that was plenty. She's the one who handled the Makiva Bush case. You know, he's literally throwing his staff under the bus in court. And he refuses to man up when the judges are like, who is running, giving you instructions to run this line of questioning? This is wrong. You've gotten it wrong. Tell him to come to court. We want to have an audience with him. He goes and sits in the galley, in the audience. And so the court cannot address him directly. Toyin, was that her name? I think that was another one. This one had a Trini name, an Indian Trini name. Can't remember her full name now. Something Singh. Singh, you know, they all have Singhs in the last name. Gadir Singh, Gabushing, something. The very ruling decisions have changed drastically because of the new staff. So in other words, when they get a file, right, they have to make a ruling on that file. Is this something we're going to pursue? And, you know, it should have some merit to it. Like when they saw my file, that would have been probably him that decided to go with that. So the rulings have changed. And the argument goes like this. It is because they're lazy, they're not meticulous, and they lack cultural knowledge and understanding. This same woman, Candia, had really good knowledge after 16 years of being in the office, being on the job, had excellent knowledge of Caymanian law. She's originally from Trinidad, but guess what? She had been here long enough where she understands a lot of the nuances that become relevant. And by all accounts, he was making her life and the lives of many others a living hell, is how one person described it. A lot of people thought, wow, might we actually have another head of that office? Female, Black, Caribbean. I mean, we had Cheryl Richards. You didn't hear these kind of complaints under her tenure. Someone says, who are their bosses? It's this judiciary panel, which includes the governor and other people appointed. I think Dan Scott used to be on it, and I don't know who else is on it. I'll have to look it up, but it's really, really sad. So don't be fooled by the person who dresses up, looks good in this moment, addressing the court at the grand opening, but his own staff and his own former staff describe him as a snake in the grass, as a demon that dresses well. He even got rid of his own PA, his assistant named Candy, another Caymanian as well. So not even the administrative staff is safe. I need you guys to understand how bad this is. I'm going back to my emails trying to see why they've not responded to me. I'm sure they're going to listen to this show. Patrick, what's his name? Simon Davies, you have 3 days by law. It's going to be 30 days in 3 days' time. I'm entitled to a response. And if I don't get a response in that amount of time, or even an acknowledgement of my email, you better believe that I will be complaining to the ombudsman's office. It is just absolutely ridiculous. I asked some really pertinent questions. The average tenure of staff who left during the past 24 months. Number of vacant posts currently unfulfilled. But yet he can bring in some geriatric friend of his who's like 70 years old or some foolishness on contract to sit there. What is his name again? Somebody help me out with his name and what his job title is. The other thing I've noticed is that when I try to go to their website, so it's this Judicial Legal Services Commission. That's who hires him, honey child. When I went to their website and I tried to figure out who works there, because, you know, there was a time when they actually had the list of people. Even that has been scratched from the website. You can't find that information anymore, who we are. They basically whitewashed the website, pun intended. From previous versions that I've seen, where now, let me just see if I can show this to you. You just have very basic information. No pictures of anyone, about us. They used to have a full list of like, this person is a Crown Counsel, this person is so-and-so. Now it's nothing but text. Boring text, because that's what they are, boring as they can possibly be. Or vision and mission. None of that stuff is here. So now you can't even see who actually works there. They had the nerves to put a section here about diversity and equality. My God. You see what I'm saying? If you had seen previous versions of this site, which I have, you would know that this site has changed significantly. And I dare say not for the better. They can't put up no pictures now so y'all can actually see the reality in black and white of what is actually going on over there. Dennis Walkington, 70 plus years old. What is his position? Remind me. The office of the ODPP, well, ODP, the O stands for office, have actually hired this guy to work in some position or another. And he used to be RCIPS. And shockingly, is this the same guy who was detective inspector of the RCIPS? Anyway, he's old. He used to be with the Metropolitan Police Service for 32 years, then came to the RCIPS based on his LinkedIn account. I bet you this is the same one. For 15 years, but in fact, he's no longer there. So he hasn't even bothered to update his, whatchamacallit, his credentials here. He is no longer, I think this is him. Hold on. Let me just confirm by photographic confirmation. Yes, senior serious crime case manager. That's his title. They're hiding here on the DPP's office all of these positions. Who's in the position? Let me show you a picture of him. And I don't have no problem with this man, but I want to know why at 70 years old, he has a job in such a position. When we have Caymanians, you're talking about retention and training and blah, blah, blah. You mean to tell me you couldn't do better than getting someone who had retired from the RCIPS? It's just, it's nonsensical. That department needs a good scraping over. And you have got to start with the top. See him here? That's him in the middle. Bless his little heart. 70 years old. He should be enjoying his retirement. Why these people can never retire, only God knows. He should be enjoying his retirement. But no, he's still working up in the DPP's office, and then Simon Davies has the audacity talking about, oh, you know, we're undertaking a recruitment, and we want more young Caymanians in it. You see, young Caymanians gonna be looking at you like you make a conscious decision to bring in a 70-plus-year-old man into a position, serious crime case manager, and you don't see a problem here? Them young Caymanians like, what? You actually think we will ever get an opportunity when this is what we're competing with, you and your geriatric friends? It's not gonna work. Here's the madness of it. His PA, Candy, somehow he managed to get rid of her without her even knowing. This is how snakish in the grass this man is. And I'm aware that's not a word, but I'm going to use it anyway. This is the kind of snake that Simon Davies, who does this? You are a leader of an organization. How do you apply to have your personal PA transferred without her knowledge on the basis that you supposedly can't trust her? Huh? Training programs. He sounded really good just now when he was talking about, oh, you know, we have to do training. Ask him, since Candy had left, when she was in the position, what training program has he actually put in place? Because I'm going to challenge him to tell us here today. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sandra from the Bluff.
Hi,
I just
Carrie.
want to say this. Morning. Thelma says morning. She's glued to the TV. Anyways, your biggest fan in the animal world.
Thank
I
you.
need Mr. Balika Samamba to come on your show now this morning, because 2 days ago he was on Sabrina. I think it was Wednesday evening, the last hour of her show, and he explained about all the training that was supposed to be taking place for Caymanians in that same DPP office there and the law commission, and especially where he was in the drafting the laws, how they condemn the Caymanian that wanted to learn how to do this drafting and get more involved in it. You got to listen to Sabrina's show, Sandra, the one. Anybody go tune in. It was Wednesday evening. I'm pretty sure the last hour of her show. He really told you how the Caymanians were kicked out, were pushed out, were not offered training when they came up and addressed it. Though, like himself, he said he even offered to train the Caymanian. They pushed him down, and you can't do it. And it was not a native doing that. It was some other Caymanian status holder that was there that was doing that to a native that wanted to learn the system and wanted to understand the drafting of laws and all of this. So we see that this is an ongoing situation when it comes to our people in our government trying to get into these top positions or get elevated and promoted. They're being held back by a bunch of expatriates with status, PR, or whatever. And that's not fair to our people, because you're not giving our people that opportunity. And especially when our people come and show you interest and say, I want to get involved. I want to learn this. I want to better myself. I want to get involved with this. And others there that are on a government contract are stepping up to the plate and willing to train our people. They get pushed down and pushed out and shoved in the cracks. This is the system we have, Sandra.
Leave me there, Carrie, because I got a lot more evidence that we bring into the table. But thank you. Leave me there.
Throw it at them.
Let me show you another one. This is a young lady I was just thinking of. I couldn't remember her full name. I knew it was something Singh. I'm so sorry. Her name is Hema Sundaring Singh. Okay. So here's Hema, beautiful young lady, Hema Sundar Singh. Yes, attorney at law. And I'm going to show you something that you should not make light of when I show this to you. Beautiful young lady. She was there at the DPP's office. This is the one that they had in charge of the McKeeva Bush case, where basically Simon Davies instructed her and told her, Hema told her how to run the case. And she was professionally embarrassed by the court because of him and his instructions to her. Look at this now. This is her LinkedIn profile, right? After being in the legal profession for some 15 years and 6 months, her last job she left in July of 2024. She left her Crown Counsel position here in the Cayman Islands. You notice what she's had to do since then? It says that she's on a career break for health and well-being. Hello. Pay attention. This man did her so bad with those cases that the woman has had to take a mental health break. I've actually never seen, in all the years that I've been on LinkedIn, you know, I always preen people's profiles. I have never, ever seen somebody actually put down that they're on a health and well-being career break. The woman has had to take a break for over a year because of him. My God. I wish these people would talk. They're not talking. I get this from other people. They're afraid because despite the fact that they've left, they're still adjacent, you know, they're still defense attorneys now, and so on and so forth. They're still in the legal fraternity. People describe him as incompetent, Mr. Simon. There was this case with Keith Myers. You guys remember that one? Where we reported that he actually won a payout of some $90,000. $95,000 was his over $95,000 of our money. Yeah? Because of the continued incompetence of Simon Davies. Go back and read the article. So we just had to pay this lawyer over $95,000 because good old Mr. Davies is the one who gave the permission to go and raid his house, confiscate his cell phone and laptop, and they got it wrong. He drafted, I was just speaking about this young lady here and the whole McKeeva Bush fiasco and that whole case. Simon actually drafted the legal arguments, and she was just told to read and present this. And that case, needless to say, was a dismal failure. Let's go back to Candia. Okay? When he came and found her there acting in his position, maybe he felt he had a little bit of competition. And so he had to do everything in his power to ensure that she had no career advancement. So he would go behind her back and make decisions and change things to purposely undermine her credibility in the office and in the legal profession. This man is something else. We would say that he is very dangerous. How do you go and have contact France Manderson directly about transferring your staff? Have a confirmation of the transfer, and you don't even have the decency to sit down and talk to your staff about, well, you know, whatever the situation is, I no longer want you in my office. One day they're just like, oh, you've been transferred. And then he has the audacity to talk about retention. You see, people talk, you know. And when people know that this is how you treat your staff, you think they want to work with you? I also need to FOI and find out how many conferences has this man been going on since he has been in office? This is my next question. I'm going to send it over today. How many conferences has he booked on a government dime? I want to know the dollar amount, how much money he's paid, because my sources have said that this man be booking these trips and going first class on our money. Come on now. You can't be doing that. Traveling first class on our dime? Really? Halfway around the world? when budgets are tight. Yeah. Let's go back to this one. His geriatric friend that he has hired. Mr. Dennis Walkington. I ain't got nothing I don't know the man, and I don't have nothing to say about him. He just shouldn't be in this position. That's all I'm going to say. There were Caymanians that applied for the position. One in particular had a law degree and was a police officer, and they completely overlooked him. My ears to the ground say that Simon actually renewed his contract contrary to what other senior managers thought should happen. Well, how long has he been there in that office? Before Candia James left, she suggested, we could bring in a Caymanian and have Dennis train them. Remember what the man just said about succession training? That would tell you to be making it sound good, if you believe him.
As a result, 5 members of the team should be singled out for particular praise. Firstly, the first 3, Colleen Cummings, Sarah Lewis and Simon Spears, with a local organising committee for a conference hosted by the office in November. In the office.
Because he talked about training,
to substantial experience, thereby nurturing development and retention.
Okay. You know how you nurture development and retention? You actually develop and retain. Nothing, but that's what nurturing development and retention means. And he has done none of that. So much so that when Candia recommended we can hire a Caymanian to come into this position, let's train them. Remember, he talked about succession planning? This is what succession planning means. You bring someone in that might not have all of the experience that you want, but you put them as an understudy under Mr. Wilkington, and they will get there. You map out a plan over the next 6 months, a year. And you know what happened? Let me tell you what Simon did. The same man that can get up yesterday in Grand Court and drop words like succession planning and retention, he went behind her back, and instead of hiring that Caymanian, renewed this guy's contract for an additional 2-year period. This is egregious. Unbelievable. You have staff that are so traumatized that they have to take mental health breaks completely. Leave the Cayman Islands, go back home, and take a mental health break. But yet, he talks about retention. That's not how you retain staff. You don't traumatize them. You don't throw them under the bus. And then when the judge is demanding an audience, you don't even show up. You don't even show up for your staff after you sat there and drafted this ridiculousness. Unbelievable. They have another staff member, poor her. I like her. She recently collapsed and is now on medical leave, placed under tremendous stress because she was the only one that they had reviewing matters. He does not even understand. I mean, I don't know. What was his experience? Where did he come from? Because he does not even understand how to, here he is. Let's look him up on LinkedIn. He apparently doesn't even know how to distribute the work properly, the workload. He finds Sarah's pretty good. I've seen her do cases. So he can work her to death. Promote her real quick to senior Crown Counsel. He did do that above others who had been there and who were more deserving by all accounts, but nonetheless, he promoted her. And she dropped down from stress, collapsed. Let's talk about the number of vacancies that they have that have not been filled. Whatever Caymanians are still there, watch this space, because I hear enough of them planning on leaving too. Let's talk about one in particular. Let me have a look at his LinkedIn profile to see where exactly we got him from. Oh, he doesn't have his experience. Oh, here we go. All right. No experience listed. You know, it is so funny that this is what we see people doing. Now, surely he must have come to the table with a lot of experience, why we would have hired him, yes? Well, if that's the case, he certainly hasn't bothered to reflect it on his LinkedIn profile. All he has is his current position as experience and his education, Trinity College, Cambridge, and grammar school. No specializations, no nothing. But there you go. He didn't even tell us where he worked previously, so we could go back and do some fact checking and see exactly what his experience has been. Why is that? Very few people do not put their historical experience on their LinkedIn profile. And when they don't, there's normally a very, very good reason why they don't do that. It's unbelievable. It really, really is. Who hired him? It's this council that's head up by the governor's office. What a hot mess. Someone says he sounds like a piece of POS. Brought him in so he can acquire status and retire on our pension and health system, health insurance. I have been in court and witnessed the DPP office. He butchered the defense. It was an epic mess. Even the judge had to go at them. Yeah, everyone is frustrated, you know. Everyone is frustrated. It's just unbelievable. And this is the nonsense. You know, we pretty it up. Somebody says, has Nicole Petit already left? Let me address her with no respect to this one. And I'm going to tell you why. When you see all of this happening around you, right? You have some choices in life. You have the choice to say nothing and do nothing. I suppose that's a choice. You have the choice to pretend like nothing is going on and start kissing somebody's behind and helping to undermine your own colleagues and throw people under the bus. That's also a choice. And so, by all accounts, Nicole Petit has done the latter. She wants a position so badly. And she can see that she's not going to get it any other way because she's on the wrong color fence of the fence. She's Jamaican. I believe she's Jamaican. Nicole's Jamaican, right? I don't even know where she's from. Some Caribbean island. So she knows that, you know, chances are you're not going to get very far. And Nicole resigned already? Nicole not resigned. Nicole's still there. Who told me that Nicole resigned? Hold on. You know, now that you say that she's resigned, didn't somebody say she resigned and then... Oh, okay. So she's from Trinidad as well? All right. And oh yeah, there's another one, Toyin Salako. She's from Trinidad too. All resigned. And Simon Davies asked Nicole to stay. Oh, yes. I get into Nicole. All right. Let's break it down. It's so interesting. I can't find a picture of Nicole. She seems to be well hidden. Anywho, it's so funny. She herself resigned. Lord Jesus. Anywho, she has taken the option then of doing what she does best, allegedly, just kissing up to Simon. So she resigned, and of course, that meant he would have had nobody left. So apparently he begged her to stay, to withdraw her resignation earlier last year. It would have looked really bad because it was Nicole Petit, Candia James, and Toyin Salako, 3 Black Caribbean women, all resigning at the same time. And he knew that the optics of that look horrific. So he asked Nicole, the only one of the 3 that was willing to bend in a particular direction and extend those lips where she could kiss his rear end. Promised her all kind of, we'll give you assistant DPP, this, that, the next thing, blah, blah, blah. Not to mention that she's another snake in the grass who's sitting there backing news against her coworkers and does as little work as possible. So 3 members of the DPP's office. Can I get a picture of Toyin? I'm trying to find her. All resigned at the same time. And that had looked so bad that he had to beg one of the 3 to stay. And so, of course, he goes for the weakest link, because the other 2 would not compromise themselves. Well, some people will say, take it any way you can get it, honey child. Take it any way you can get it. Such a shame, because you will certainly not be respected for your decision to remain and be his little lackey. Sorry for you, honey child. The Jingle movie, Django? Oh, it's after 9:30. I can drop a little bit of something on y'all. Y'all know, and forgive me for my non-African friends, but you shouldn't be offended by this because it's going to come from my lips. Django, when you get what do you call it? Comings up. They're the one, the house, the N-word, that back in news and all that kind of stuff. And then the day that they can deal with them, then Let me read some of your comments. My apologies, I've been neglecting your comments. Good morning. Jenny says, hit the fan, honey child. It's 2026. Morning, Gail. Where's the evidence of your succession planning, says Pat. And it's quite the opposite. The evidence isn't there. This is proof positive that there is no succession planning. It's crazy. You got to watch the space with Keith Myers because I think that there's more to come. Morning, Andrew. Greg, good morning. Greg says, my daughter has just completed her law degree at Swansea University, earning a bachelor's in law and 2 master's degrees. She's now back home and actively seeking a firm where she can complete her articles. Unfortunately, most firms locally are already full, and she has since been shortlisted by a firm in the UK We send our children abroad to study and invest heavily in their education, yet there's no structured program in place here to support graduates or help place them in career alignment. I agree with you. And this is where, again, we talk about succession planning. Let me be very, very clear. This man should not be able to get up and talk about succession planning as though he is, for his office, as though he's doing this in a vacuum. This falls under, in my humble opinion, the remit now of our Minister of Education. And the government, the elected arm of government, should be saying, you know what? We have, and this shows you the failures of previous governments. We're waiting on this one to tell us how this is going to work. But we have X number of Caymanian law students abroad. 5 are going to be coming back this year, potentially looking for articles. We have how many law firms in Cayman? Yes, some of them have their own internal programs. And if some of the Caymanians didn't go through their internal program, they weren't, successful getting that scholarship, they're on their own. And that's not fair. Because then there is no avenue whatsoever, Greg, for them to get in and get called to the bar. And so, yes, not just work permits. Y'all want to hearken. You have to excuse me, but Zeus is being very touchy-feely right now. This isn't just about, look like he wants to say something too. This isn't just about, the work permits and the law firms and this and that. A lot of them have pretty decent legal training programs in place. However, when your own government departments have no plan whatsoever for people to be able to come back and do portions of their articles with the DPP's office, with the Attorney General's office. Not everybody wants to be in corporate law. Some people will want to, although the article program has, different, you have to do like 6 months in trust work and 6 months in criminal, 6 months in civil, so that you get a broad amount of coverage for your tutelage. But there will be people who will want to be in the position of Attorney General. To think that Cayman has such a sophisticated, supposedly, an amazing judiciary, and we have not yet had a born Caymanian in any of these leadership positions within the judiciary, we should be sitting here right now saying shame, shame, shame. Shame on every elected official for the past 40, 50 years. Because surely by now, we could have had someone trained and in the position. Apparently, we're lucky that the closest we can get is a Jamaican in our judiciary to lead key positions. Because if it wasn't for them, it would be run entirely by the English. This little dog won't come lie down and sleep. Hello, sir. You just want to sleep on your mama's lap. He's so funny. But we should be ashamed of ourselves, quite frankly, that we've allowed this to happen. But my point is, when you have someone like Simon Davies in there talking foolishness about succession planning, it is not going to get any better. Do not be fooled. These speeches sound wonderful, but the reality is totally different. And so if nothing else, I hope that I brought some information to the table today. The governor's office, shame on you too, because you all are part and parcel of the problem. When you hire someone, right, like Simon, you should say, listen here, you are on a 3-year contract and your remit is to train up either a Caymanian, or at least let's start with a Caribbean person. We already had one, Michelle. Train people to take your job. Your job is not to come here and stay forever and retire in Cayman and get your best options, pension, health insurance for life, and all kind of stuff. We got to do better. Seriously. He'll soon have status, probably already trying to apply for PR. Here we go. It's just too much. We have to stop buying in to the nonsense. I was watching a video yesterday. I was actually sharing it with a friend of mine about these accents and stuff, right? You know, this guy, Trevor Noah, he's so funny. And he was actually saying something that has a lot of truth to it because, you know, although he's a comedian, most of what he talks about is actually very, very truthful. And so he was talking about how an accent is not a measure of intelligence. But kind of the way he said it, I want you to listen to this, is so true because I've said this before. You know, you got to love a British accent. I mean, it just sounds so sophisticated. They could be cursing you out, honey child, and you're like, oh, that sounds so good. Have a listen to this because I think he makes the point, although it's in a comedic way, he still makes the point. And my point is, when you hear this,
fact that merely training people will not solve long-term retention difficulties.
Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the accent, and don't be fooled by the fakeness of what the man is saying. Have a little laugh, a little chuckle at this.
Like immigrants, most of the time, they're not referring to immigrants who look and sound like them. They're talking about immigrants who speak differently, who look different. You know, because an accent comes with a connotation. You think you know if someone is smart or stupid because of their accent. And yet the truth is an accent is not a measure of intelligence. It's just someone speaking your language with the rules of theirs. Accents have connotations. We cannot deny it. Look at the French. We all believe that the French are romantic. Why? Because of their accents. They've got that thing. I was thinking that maybe we could, how you say, afterwards, maybe we could try to, oh my God, he's so sexy, oh my God. Accents determine how we see people. Same thing happens with the Russians. The Russians, the most feared people on the planet. Why? Because of how they speak. I don't care who you are, you cannot deny that when a Russian speaks, you are not comfortable. As soon as they open their mouths, yeah, go to kill you, break you. I destroy your family. Even if they say nice things, it still sounds menacing and dangerous. Yeah, fluffy rabbits and teddy bears. Happy Valentine's Day. Sounds like a threat.
That was humorous and funny, but the point really is, don't let it fool you. Don't be so easily fooled. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. Uh-oh. They hung up. Johan says, Dear RCIPS plus DPP, please know that Auntie Sandy and I are no longer friends after the show. She is unruly and her brownies are salty plus dried up. None of that is true. He's scared now to come and search him and find some porn. Find those channels those blue movies you've been watching. Listen, you got to call a spade a spade. Ozzy says, please do a show on the black and black discrimination in the Protect and Serve Club. Oh God, how much time do we have? That's the popo. Really? They cutting each other throat for what reason? Thank you, Kareen. Yes, that's her name. Poor thing is on mental health break. But Richard Ground was from the UK and became a QC after 10 years experience. Who the hell is Richard? Morning, Alba. Mr. Amelia says, only in the Cayman Islands. Well, the disconnect is real. Belika says Gavin Dixon now has about 10 years of PQE. They should have been grooming him to be a DPP. We once had Richard Ground, who was Attorney General for about 10 years experience. Oh, okay. I read it in wrong order. I see what you mean. Thanks, Carrie. This is the Commission members of the JLSC. Let me just see who hires these people. JLSC. So this is Judicial and Legal Services Commission. The members are, so this is who we can hold accountable for hiring, ultimately, I guess. I think the governor, if I'm not correct, doesn't she sit on this as well? I think the governor is the one who really does the hiring for this position. But anyway, the people on this judicial council, I'll confirm that and let you guys know on Monday's show. Sir John Goldring, President of the Court of Appeal, Nick Freeland, Chairman of this commission, Honorable Chief Justice Sean Parchment, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Justice Adrian Saunders, and Dame Janice Pereira. What? Pereira. Okay, Honorable Justice Myrtle. I don't think this is not the committee who is this the committee who hires him? I'll confirm. I will confirm. Okay, I'll confirm, but I think it's actually well, put it this way. All of the announcements come directly from the governor's office. So Anita wants to know who's his boss too. I'll get that for you. They do not want to give you the stats that you asked for, just like another institution refused to give stats on how foreigners and locals are being charged for firearm offenses. Lisa says Grand Cayman has to be the worst place on the planet in humanity. Well, I wouldn't go that far, Lisa. There's a lot of worse places, but we should not be comparing ourselves to the worst because God knows we don't want to get there. So these constructive criticism and critiques of what is really happening, in the system is all about hoping that we don't get there. That's the whole point, Lisa. Lisa says, we need help getting my mom's body released from Churchill to be cremated on the island at Bodden. We were led to believe that Churchill could have it done on the island. Oh, Lisa. I'm so sorry, first of all, for the loss of your mother. But I'm actually very happy that you brought this up, because this is something that only recently have been brought to my attention. Let's take this call, and I'm going to tell you why, Lisa. I'm going to come back to this. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. Very good expose this morning about the DPP's office. I watched that whole ceremony there. It was very interesting. It looked more like we were in England or in Jamaica. So I didn't hear any Caymanian speak, but that's a discussion for another day. But a very good expose today regarding that DPP's office. Like I said in my note there, people like Gavin Dixon, who when he was doing his articles, I was still in government. Those are people, that's a smart guy. And those are people they should have been grooming that early to say, okay, we want you to be DPP, we want you to encourage you and so forth. But apparently in Cayman, we don't do things like that. And if it had been somebody from the UK with 10 years experience, you are old enough, you have enough experience for them to make you Attorney General. But if you are a Caymanian, 10 years experience apparently doesn't matter. One of the problems in Cayman also is that local experience, it's as if it doesn't exist. In my view, if you're a Caymanian or Caribbean person and you have been in a job for 10 years, even if they have somebody from the UK with 20, 25 years experience, they should give it to you. One, because you are a Caymanian, and secondly, local experience matters. And apparently in Cayman, that is, people are not given credit for that. Then there's a note, I think it was from Greg James, which was a comment about her son who has got now 3 degrees and can't get articles. That's a shame. We've had Truman Borden now somewhere between 35, 36 years experience, and it is still difficult for people to get articles. And like that note says, that there has to be a structure. You have to be able to say, every year, the DPP, the DPP's office, AG's office, or the government in general will take 5 or 10 Caymanians to do articles. Where I was called to the bar when I finished school, a degree, after government paid for me, I was guaranteed articles by the government. And in Cayman, there's no guarantee of articles. All these things at the end of the day, Sandra, the way I see them, they are political problems. If the politicians wanted to resolve these, they can resolve them through legislation. They can pass legislation which says that the government shall take at least 5 or 6 or 10 people for articles. There are things which they can discuss in Parliament. When the DPP's report is presented to Parliament, they should sit down there and talk about precisely these things. And they shouldn't talk about them during the Public Accounts Committee, because they're like their focus is different. They should discuss the report of the DPP's office and ask why certain things are not being done. So I really think that this discussion needs to continue. But before I get off, let me give a shout out to 2 people. First of all, Carrie Tibbetts, I'm a big supporter of mine. I'm a big supporter of her as well. And also Cheryl Richards. You know, Cheryl Richards, when she was chief officer, one of those ladies, the lady at the end there of the members of the commission, her name is Myrtle Brandt. That one, that's the one who was head of department when I was in the DPP, in the legislative drafting department. That lady told a Caymanian that before that Caymanian could be trained, she needed to get a master's degree. And yet that same Myrtle Brandt doesn't have a master's degree. And that decision stood. Cheryl Richards told that Myrtle Brandt, said, look, you can't do this. Allow this Caymanian to be trained. She can get a master's later, but start training her in the office. And that lady, Myrtle Brandt, refused to have her trained. I offered to train her. That same Myrtle Brandt said, you are not going to train her because even you are not fit to train anybody. And yet today, she is a member of that commission. They've appointed her. She became a KC. Most of the people in the private sector actually said she should never have been a KC. She hadn't been to court for 40 years. And these are the people who are being rewarded in Cayman for persecuting Caymanians. I think I should leave it there. Otherwise, I'll reveal too many things. I thank you.
Oh, my apologies. Oh my gosh. I meant to mute it, coughing, and I already had muted myself. Oh God, my apologies. I was just saying that I'm just having a look as Mr. Balikia is saying that. And I'm having a look at this Myrtle lady. She has a 3-year appointment. No, more than 3 years, from 2024 to 2028. And ironically, she was actually called to the bar, Guyana bar, in 1975. I'm just like, what is it with the geriatrics club? I mean, do these people never retire? My God. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, it's me again, Sandra. Just one thing. I forgot to say something about the Judicial and Legal Service Commission. The Judicial and Legal Service Commission is appointed by the governor.
Right. And who are they the ones who hire or contribute to the hiring of the head of the DPP?
Yes, they are the ones who recommend to the governor the hiring of people in the judicial and legal service who are classified as judges, magistrates, people in government who need legal qualifications to work, and any other qualifications prescribed by Parliament which need legal qualifications. Yes, so it's the Judicial and Legal Service Commission which recommends the appointment of the DPP and that group of people. So I mean, look, it's the composition is there. I've got a little bit of quibble with it. One of the things that I've got a quibble about it, I think there's need for more members of the public. If you look at it, I'm looking at the same chart that you've given. You've got Nick Freeland and Sean Parchment, who are, I assume, not lawyers, and then you've got the president of the Court of Appeal. You've got the Chief Justice, Justice Adrian Saunders is Chief Justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Janice Pereira is the president of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and Court of Appeal. And then you've got Colette Wilson, who we wrote the FOI law together with her and a lot of other people. She's also a lawyer. And then you've got this brand, this totally fakeless brand who is there. Look at how many lawyers are there. Do you think that if you go there and you file a complaint, you are a member of the public, you file a complaint against a judge, what are the chances that these people will find in your favor? Okay, in a lot of countries now, they are trying to get out of this idea that lawyers can supervise themselves and judges can supervise themselves. They try to ensure that at least half of them are members of the public, because at the end of the day, it is members of the public who are going to be making complaints. By the way, that's why all my complaints with the Judicial and Legal Service Commission have always failed. Even that judge who I proved with 13 emails that he was lying, he was never disciplined. But anyway, let me leave it there. Thank you.
All right, my dear. Just checking the other messages here. Yes, I mean it's shocking, but just as an aside before we wrap things up, there's lots of benefits, Miss Anita, to definitely living and working in the Cayman Islands. A pension is perhaps one of them. Marshall says they don't want to retire in Cayman because the money is too good. Let's talk about this question that Lisa posed, because I didn't realize that this was actually happening. Now, I suppose like any other business, there is some competition in the funeral home business. You know, it is what it is. We've got 2 funeral homes in Cayman. I didn't know until recently that this particular point that Lisa has brought up was an issue. And I only became aware of it because of a situation with Nolly, who, as you guys know, recently passed away. He didn't want any big fancy funeral. He had left very, very specific instructions with his family. Then, in fact, he wanted to be cremated. Now, my understanding is he also had a preference for them using Churchill. But Churchill does not have a crematorium on island. So what they will do at an exorbitant rate, quite frankly, is they will take a body, ship, you know how much money it costs to ship a body overseas? Ship the body to the States, I guess Miami, have it cremated, and then bring the body back. Not for nothing, but I'm not even sure I'd be trusting that that's my family members' remains, honey child, because I'm just saying. You know, them crematoriums in the States, they doing a lot of bodies, child. Lisa, you don't know if that gonna be your mama coming back or somebody else's ashes. Anywho, the only place that you can get a cremation done that actually has a crematorium here on island is Bawden's. Now, the issue, Lisa, is I'm understanding that Churchill's does not want to, so, you know, I guess they got the body because you were going to use them for some of the services or whatever. I don't know how they got the body, but apparently they are refusing to release bodies under these conditions because it would be quite easy enough for them to simply transfer it over to Bawden, tell Bawden's come pick up the body. But I'm curious to see what response you're getting from them, because they are not doing it. They're making it very, very difficult. So much so that, they're telling you, no. Just let us do it and we'll ship the body overseas. Not everybody wants to do that. Lisa's saying that we were definitely blindsided. Churchill, listen to me today. Don't have me have to make this a bigger issue. Simply do the right thing and transfer the body for the cremation services over to Baden. It is not that difficult. It was really, really easy to do. So we were sent there by a woman at HSA, you see? So that person misled you. HSA, your name being called up in foolishness again? HSA should not be giving you misinformation, which obviously they did. I'm gonna report this right now to Miss the Honorable Kathy Wilkes, because if HSA staff are doing this and providing you with misinformation, that's wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. Why on earth would they be doing that? That is horrific. And so now HSA management has got to send out a message to say, don't be misleading people for whatever reason. Don't be lying to people. I mean, there are people who have very, very specific requests regarding cremation. Oh, now they're trying to do the right thing. They better fix it, and they better fix it quick. Jim says, how horrible for the grieving family. It's unacceptable. And for you to even come on here, Lisa, and have to feel so frustrated to post this comment, that means that, quite honestly, you were at your wit's end. That's why you felt it. What did you pay $8,000 for? I hope they're going to give you your money back. What the hell? Gabby says Baden's the best and they do not charge per day to keep the body. At a time like this, for you and your family to have to deal with this kind of stress, Lisa, it is just wrong. Absolutely wrong. You better tell them to give you your money back, girl. Kim and Brett says, Lisa, it's so sad that you're going through this. So sorry your mama has passed. God comfort and bless you. For their services. But they can't cremate nobody. All right, folks. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. It's a Friday. She says it is so devastating. I'm so sorry, Lisa. Hopefully you can, continue to heal. It's very stressful to be dealing with a situation like this, and even more stressful to have this on top of you. So my goodness, I'm going to really hope that you can get past this. Oh, we have Mr. Churchill calling us. Okay. Oh, good. Yes. Good morning, sir. I'm still on air, so I'm assuming that you're going to clarify some stuff here for us.
Well, I prefer to speak off air, please.
Okay. Well, I'm on air at the moment. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't like no secrets when y'all call, when I'm saying something publicly and you call into, if you're going to correct me or if you're going to address something, then you say it on air where everybody can hear the conversation. Don't y'all agree? Okay. All right, folks. Y'all be want talking like there's some secret conversations going on around you. Nothing's put in the dark and be staying there, if you know what I mean. Do better. I don't like to talk about these things, but I'm telling y'all, you got to do better. Lisa, bless you, honey child. I hope you can get it all sorted out. If you don't have a crematorium, you don't have a crematorium. It's as simple as that. All right, beautiful folks, please, going into the weekend, I want you guys to have a safe and wonderful weekend. The roads are a tough place to be. Enforcement starts today. Do not forget, today's the 16th. Enforcement starts today as it relates to all of these personal devices. Based on the number of people that have registered, I would say that, clearly they haven't registered. So I guess the police will be out there busy giving people some tickets. I just see that on the news feed here, the Independent, where the Greenland minister tearful as she describes intense pressure from the Trump administration. Oh, this is so sad. I mean, they're leaders, but I don't know why the Trump administration is pressuring this poor woman. Oh, this is such a sad situation. This is so sad. Trump has got to do better. Look at this poor woman. Look how you can see the stress in her face. She said this has been stressful. Just want them to hand over their country. Apparently, she became tearful. This is so sad. As she describes intense pressure as Trump threatens to take territory. Oh my God. This is just, for those of you who support this man, do you really support this? Please tell me you don't, because I would lose a lot of respect for you. This is just wrong. Oh my God, poor woman. Trying to fight for your people. They're a small country, but they're a sovereign country. On that front, they are getting support from Denmark and some other European countries. They're actually putting troops there because they believe that Trump is going to do what he did to Venezuela. Just go in there with military force. My God. His own allies. Who does this? All right. Miss Juliet says, I agree. Marshall says, I agree. If there's nothing to hide, say it on the air and clear the air. Thamalu says, thanks for a great show. Thank you, ma'am. Bless my mom. Miss Pope. Is it Posey? Rose Pope. My apologies. Rose Pope. Barbara says they need to dump Trump. My goodness. It's just horrible. Cayman Brock says, no, I don't support taking a country. I mean, it's just so wrong on so many different levels. All right, folks, have yourselves a safe and wonderful weekend. Of course, we'll be keeping track of all of the news as and when it happens. And, we try to bring it to you first. Did you guys see the breaking news last night that 2 members of the HSA board resigned with immediate effect? That place continues to be Hot Mess Express. So yeah. All right. We'll keep an eye on it. My God. Faith says, I hope you know who's going to call you on Monday, White House. Trump. Oh, Lord. That would be funny. Ms. Juliet says Trump needs to step down right now. Al says Trump's a weak bully. He can't take Greenland. Have a nice weekend. Thank you so much. Yes. And I tell you what, I have, cut back on my desire to go to the States right now is like nil. I mean, I'm not feeling good about it. They're having their own internal strife, their own civil war of sorts. And it's just a sad day, sad time for the US. I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really, really quite shocked and surprised, but there you have it. And I'm going to leave it up to the Americans to sort out whatever the resolution is going to be. I'm not going there protesting in their streets. That's for their people to do. I'm trying to protest here in my little country and save what we have on these 3 little rocks that we call the Cayman Islands. Because if we're not careful, we're not going to be in any better of a position. Right? So we gotta keep an eye on things. All right, beautiful people, please enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Enjoy the weather, nice and cool. Some nice breeze coming through for the weekend. Looks like another little nor'wester. The ocean was starting to look rough yesterday. Blessings to all of you, and we shall see you all on Monday. Okay, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.